What's up, y'all, and welcome back to Lights Camera Captions. I gotta re-up on that. Give me just a second. So on the last episode, the first episode of DTF St. Louis, man, the tensions were rising. There was a lot going on. I love my Portugal wines, y'all. I love my Portugal wines. Temperatures were rising, you know. We had Clark here, who is being questioned by the detectives in St. Louis, and you have special units and Twyla questioning him as well for the death of Floyd Schmernich. Schmernich. And the wife. At the end of episode 1, there was some weird stuff with the wife, right? Like me, I'm like, man. But it's hard because with these thrillers, we got to remember, guys, they are trying to get us to go for the bait. The bait right now is sort of kind of Clark, but there's subtle tones and may even lean towards the wife sometimes. She's like that secondary bait trap as well. And like almost a too obvious one. And so I don't know, just keep that in mind. So episode 2 opens up. We get a little more in depth with the meeting between Carol and Clark, get a little more context about their first meeting. So it starts off with that cornhole meetup, that cornhole get together a week into Clark meeting Floyd. And, you know, we get a little more about what happened that day. Carol was not shy about showing that she was into Clark. Clark was a little bit taken aback by how into him she was. And that's what I mean by certain subtle things that for me are tells that though she may not have killed Clark or killed Floyd, she's definitely got some things going on as far as like manipulation and control. Which brings up Jamba Juice. Clark and Carol talk about Jamba Juice the first time that they kind of see each other, and they go on about how Clark goes on about how his favorite drink is the Go-Getter. And he goes to the Jamba Juice, or Carol was saying the Jamba Juice that she goes to is in the specific area, an area that apparently Clark goes to on lunch every day. And he was like, whoa, that's the one I go to. He was like, I get the Go-Getter. And she was like, oh, that's the one I get. You're lying. That's what she says. She goes on about how they both get the same drink. Clark adds, it's the most healthy one, basically on the menu. And then as Carol agrees, she also adds, nobody asked this, Carol. She goes, you know, Floyd gets the PB&J chocolate. Pretty much a milkshake. Sorry, that's... So, get off Floyd. Bro, you're... So, we go to... Basically, as this is happening, Floyd is talking to Clark's wife. They're just having a much different conversation where they're talking about their children. They're talking about how to navigate parenthood, basically, especially for Floyd, whose stepchild could be seen as challenging for both the parent and the kid. But Floyd goes on about how he's not really into sports. They're trying to find out something that he's into. He got dance classes for Richard, which is the kid's name, and Richard doesn't want to go. And what Floyd said is that he doesn't want to make Richard feel bad for spending the money on the class, so he joined it himself. I don't know if that's completely a lie, or an omission of truth. Floyd, we all know from watching the show so far, that kid does not care. He does not care. He doesn't care about his own house. He's throwing rocks at the window. He doesn't care if you paid money on this dance class that he doesn't want to go to. And who cares? If you want to join a dance class, Floyd, join a dance class. You don't need to make up an excuse. No, that's probably exactly the kid not wanting to go is the reason that he joined. Him adding the layer of him not wanting to make Richard feel bad for them spending money on a class he's not going to go to is just not true. You know what it probably was? Carol. You spent that money on a class Richard's not going to go to. We're just fucking spending. And we'll hear later. We'll get there when we get there. Floyd was like, we paid money for this. It's not going to go to waste because I'm going to use them. It's probably just kind of like fighting off Carol with that. And this is it. And he's enjoying it. So the commercial where it's showing Floyd dancing and Clark in the background, that's what drew me. That's what sold me on the show before I even knew more about it. And I was like, oh, this is a different side of him that he's tapping into. Jason Bateman there too. You know what I mean? I'm like, I need to restart my HBO Max subscription ASAP. And that's what I did. He said he became into it. And then we go, as this is happening, we're basically getting a back and forth between Carol and Clark's conversation, which is sexual tension at an all-time maximum. So bad that you're seeing like, something's going on when your partner's talking with someone and they keep looking at you while they're talking to them. That's if your partner's doing that, go check in on them. You don't have to be confrontational, but you can just interject the conversation, say something, check in. Hey babe, how you doing? Everything going good over here? I just wanted to let you know I'm going to the bathroom, so you know where I'm at. Blah blah blah. This and that. Little interjections like that. Feel the tone. See how your partner reacts. See how the person that they're talking to reacts, and go from there. So, we go back to dancing scene. Floyd's dancing with the kids to My Lip Gloss is Popping. My lip gloss is cool. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know the song, but he was getting it. I don't know if he was on beat. I'm pretty sure he was. But it's hard to tell with the content because sometimes it doesn't always match up, and it's just, for the ease of whoever's editing. And but I want to believe that he has some rhythm and he was getting it. So it did look like he was having a good time. The kids were good. Jason Bateman definitely got some real genuine smiles, possible laughs out of that. After the dance class, the Clark and Floyd, they're chatting. They're chatting about how he got into it, and he said it's good, for his physical fitness. He's trying to slim down a little bit. This is what Floyd said to Clark. And then Floyd goes, it also helps with the Peyronie's, which I'm one more time of hearing that disease name from actually just going and looking it up and doing a deep dive, because what the fuck what are we talking about? It helps with the Peyronie's. How? I don't know. So, and then he goes into how Peyronie's is usually caused by blunt trauma. This was unprompted. He brought that up. Him and his Peyronie's brought up unprompted. So in my mind, maybe this character, as if, I'm writing the script, I'm also a writer. maybe I'm wanting this character to unconsciously want to reach out and have a better relationship with Clark and a deeper relationship, giving him some secrets. Because, yeah, why even bring that up? And then Clark is curious. He's taking the bait. He's like, hey, what happened? How did you get that trauma? Blah, blah. He didn't say the word trauma back, but um, it definitely piqued his interest. And so Clark goes on, or Floyd goes on about how Carol set him up with a great interview. It's a life-changing interview. As we talked about, as we saw in episode 1, they aren't the richest people in the world. They're actually struggling. And this is huge to get an opportunity that's huge that can change the dynamics. Maybe it changes things for Carol. I know a lot of her frustration is around the finances. We're seeing pretty late in their relationship, I'm assuming, and she's already gone, in my mind, she's already gone through being broke for a while with her husband. And so she sets him up in an interview like, what are you, Floyd, assert yourself a little bit more. No, I never know. Never know what else is going on. Don't have enough data to even start doing that. But yeah, she got him an interview. And he's on the way to the interview. He sees a kid who has mental health challenges, and he's in the middle of the street, busy street, cars flying by, and he's just like having fun. Not even playing Frogger, because Frogger, you're trying to get somewhere. You're going from one point to the next. He's just playing around in traffic. And Floyd steps into traffic, grabs the kid, and gets him back to safety. He ends up on the news. He's telling this story to Clark. He ends up on the news. He has a news reporter calling him a hero. And Floyd's like, that's not what this is about. That, clearly not caring for that type of title. He did a good thing because he's a good human being. As Floyd's telling the story, then Clark is like, I get your story. So did a car hit you in your penis or something? How did this traumatic thing happen? And the kids interrupted. They came back in, and he's like, I'll tell you about it. It happened later. I'll tell you about it later, type of thing. It happened later in the day, the blunt force trauma. If we're to assume, I'm pretty sure we can connect the dots. He got back. She saw him on the news. He missed the interview. Huge interview to save a kid. Carol don't give no fucks about that. You did what? That's my punch to the nut sound. She gave him a 2-piece to the genitals. So Floyd, after the dance class, Clark's kid is dancing and Floyd's leaving. He knocks on the window where Clark is and asks for a jump on the car. His car does not start. The jump doesn't work. We see Carol come pick Floyd up. Carol, I feel like this woman is so calculated. She gets there. She's not upset. She's not emotional. I feel like she's pretty devoid of emotion. And so any emotion that she does show is strategic. And so she pulls up. She's looking. He's like, sorry, hon, this and that. And she's like, yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's more focused on Clark. Clark is like watching at a distance. And we see that connection again. Some more flirtatious vibes. And because Floyd goes back into the building for something, comes back out. They leave. They're down to one car. We see them sitting at a bus stop, and Floyd is feeling terrible for Carol having to ride the bus while he drives the car because his jobs are pretty further out. Sounds like, yeah, because with the weather they have to go from place to place, and so yeah, he needs to take the car for that. He's trying to say, I'm sorry about this. She is dejected. She's like, yeah, it's fine. It's all right. You can just you hate to see it. As a person that has maybe been in a situation, anyone that's watching this and has been in a situation where you're so in love with someone and they're just over you. And maybe it's because just a series of unfortunate events. Things happen, you know. You can be financially in a good position one day and you lose your job and you have to get back to where you were. And sometimes that takes years. And I feel like in this situation, I'm going to assume it's taken some years for Floyd. Um, Years that have been damaging and challenging and stressful, and to the point where what I'm seeing from Carol is I'm seeing her having given up on her husband. She feels like she knows exactly who he is and he's never going to be anything other than that, and that's not something she wants. um Maybe he doesn't apply himself in multiple areas. You know, he's a little bit overweight. It's tough. It's a really tough thing. Maybe some therapy would help. I don't know if they've explored that, but it's just rough. You know, I'm sure there's people that have watching this, men and women, that feel for Carol. Maybe wouldn't go as far as murdering. I hope not going as far as murdering your partner, but feel for her as someone who is watching their partner exist with them and not apply themselves to the ability that you thought they could be. And or maybe they were there when you first started and they're going in the opposite direction. And so I'm just playing the devil's advocate right now. I'm on Floyd's side. Let that be clear. uh he's just a good dude, and you know, he has some things about him. Obviously he's exploring DTF St. Louis, which I don't know. We're going to continue. Um, this is where it gets a little bit. No. Before we even continue, we're going to explore the factual data on how Carol is just checked out with Floyd. This part is so, oh, it tugs at you. It tugged at me. So Floyd gets in the car. Carol's at the bus stop. Before he gets in the car, he's like, I love you. She goes, I love you. And if you could see it on her face that it like hurt her to say that, like it it pinches at her to say I love you every time she says it. So he gets in the car, he's about to drive off. He stops right by where she's seated, the bus seat, or the bus bench, waiting for the bus. Floyd goes, I love you. She goes, huh? Then we have the camera. The director is brilliant. Then we have the camera positioned right by Carol's face. So we get her POV and we can hear Clark saying, I love you, which means she can hear Clark saying, I love you. But she goes, I can't hear you over our one car that we have. Oh my gosh, bro. I feel for this dude, man. And he's like, he turns off the car. It's that important to him. He turns off the car and says, I love you. She goes, I love you. You see what I'm doing with my face? That is contempt. Exactly what she showed in her face. Brilliant acting. He he tries to turn the car back on and it struggles to start. Mm, 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 mm. Here, I'm going on these little tangents, but just come with me. This is what this channel's about. I believe if he would have just said, if they would have did that I love you back type of thing, He starts up the car and drives off. There's more of a thought to where she's like, I don't know, this is just, maybe it doesn't change any behavior at all, but maybe like a one thought where she's like, maybe I should try a little bit more on being like, you know. But the fact that the car didn't start, it's just like, get away from me. Get away from me. And that just emphasized things. But moving along. Carol goes to Jamba Juice. Clark's not there, but she waits. She gets the green, the go-getter. It's a green drink. I don't know why I said green. She gets the go-getter and sits for, I'm not sure how long enough. And Clark comes in on lunch, gets the go-getter. She's watching Clark, but she's watching Clark in a way to where she's watching him, but doesn't want him to know that she sees her, or she sees him. Clark sits down. She looks where he is. She's in his eye line. She looks away, knowing she's a very smart woman, knowing at some point he's going to look and see me. I think she even looked at him for a minute, just because when you have eyes on you, you can feel it. And she looked at him for a minute to give him that feeling. She looks away. Clark looks over, does a double take. Carol? Type of thing. Carol's like, he's like, Green Goddess. Green Goddess. Anyway, they sit, they talk. They're having a good, nice little talk. You know, you get some more insight into Carol and her manipulative nature. And she talks about not knowing much about being an umpire, bringing up Floyd, saying, you know, I don't ask him about it, this and that, blah, blah, blah. She's like, what if I went to like a Cardinals game? That would be nice, but that's just so expensive. And then, you know, she says that and then looks at Clark at the same time. That's just so expensive. And Clark's like, you know, our company does these groups where we get Cardinals tickets, and somehow she knew about this. And it hasn't come up yet, but I want to say it had to have come from Floyd, where he brought that up and didn't think she was interested, so didn't even think to explore that. We'll get to that. I'm sure it's going to come up. It has to in a later episode. She opens up her phone and has a full Cardinals schedule. Has a full schedule of all their games. She's like, so yeah, if you want to do that, there's a game here. Which one? She is putting applying pressure. She's not giving him any wiggle room. She's like, oh, you say you want to go? Which one? Which one do you want to go to? What time? What day? Let's do it. Let's plan it right now. You're not leaving until we plan it. And then he's like, let me look at my schedule. And, you know, he looks at his schedule. They plan a date and she got what she wanted. Next scene, they're at the Cardinals game. At the Cardinals game, they have some beers. She has like 2 beers in her hands. She has 1 beer in between her thighs. She's like, that one's yours. And Clark's like, that one there? She's like, yeah, snag it. Go ahead, snag it. And something else that I took away from this is how skilled she is at controlling a conversation and making it go exactly where she wants it to go when she wants it to go there. Clark, he looks at it. He's like, basically, I don't remember his exact words, but he was like, it's in your lap. And she was like, yeah, go ahead, snag it. And then to break up that there's an awkward moment that would happen after that naturally, obviously, because there's that thought of. It's in your lap. She breaks it up by asking a question about baseball. So how many blah, 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 this and that. And he looks away. And then, he answers or whatever. And then she's like, all right, snag it. Broke up the awkwardness, back to it. Quicker decision, split decision. Don't mull it over. Just do what I want you to do type of thing. She's a master controller. Okay. And so he grabs it. She then invites Clark to a game that she's the umpire of. He goes, yeah, that would be nice. Clark would love, or Floyd would love that too. I'm sure Floyd's going to love it when he's there or something like that. Something in that vein. And then Carol's like, well, he's not going to go. He's going downstate to visit his parents or something like that. And Clark is like, huh. They share this look. And then we go to the first game. And she's the umpire. She turns around. She sees him there. They lock eyes. And then we go to the hotel. And they have sex. The tension built. And it happened. Clark, she's cheating on you, my brother. No. Carol, they meet at, I'm going to assume this was Jamba Juice too, but I didn't get enough of the outside scenery. I was just too involved in like the conversation. But they're back at whatever setting, and she lets Clark know, you can do whatever you want to me. She's like, and I want all your dreams. I was like, damn, this one, she is trying to destroy this man. He's like, okay. So we go back. This whole thing, as he's reliving all these moments, this is what he's telling Detective Donoghue, played by Richard Jenkins. Richard Jenkins, I remember him from Step Brothers, and anything he does, even when it's not supposed to be funny, it's funny. And most of his comedy in this show is subtle, and it's like, it's in he doesn't do anything that's a punchline. It's all in his demeanor. Like in the first episode when he's talking to Clark, and he's like basically telling him, oh, okay, if that's all, if you have nothing else to add, you can go. And then Clark's like, I can go? He was like, yeah, you could always go. You're not detained. We're in the lobby. And then Clark's like, huh. He's breathing a sigh of relief. Richard Jenkins is just like drinking his coffee. And someone else brings papers from the court, give them to Clark, and Clark reads them. Richard Jenkins is like, yeah, those are from the court stating that you have to give us your phone, and we're going to go through all your texts and emails. And he's like, this is what that says, huh? Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Just the man is a genius. Anyway, I just wanted to go off on that slight one. So after they, so as he's explaining this to Detective Donoghue, Detective Donoghue is, asking him questions. Clark goes, we have dream meetings. He's like, dream meetings? Where are those? What are those? And then he tells Donoghue, he goes, yeah, it's where we meet up and make each other's dreams come true. Donoghue's interested. He's like, okay, give me an example. And Clark goes, weight placement, where someone places all their weight on you. And then we see the scene. Clark wants Carol to sit on his face and just stay there and do tasks. And we go to the scene. She's like sitting on his face and paying bills and shit. She's like, no, I want to switch it to this account or something. She's saying number 970, blah, blah, blah. She's like frustrated. She's wiggling around. I'm like, brother. And he's sitting there suffering. He's like, his hands up. He's like, It's like hesitating. He's dying. You know, the detectives then argue. They talk about being able to either interview Carol or Clark. And Detective Jody wants to interview Clark. And Donaghue's not having it. He's like, I'm the lead on this. I interview the person arrested. Carol is not a witness, or Carol is not a suspect. You can interview Carol. She gets the shit in, which works out perfectly, I think, because had it been the other way around, there would have been little to no suspicion on Carol. So then Carol gets interviewed by Jody, Detective Jody, in her home, and she tries to control the conversation. We hear that she's listening to an audiobook. I don't remember this is from season or episode 1 or episode 2. But Carol's listening to an audiobook. It's kind of like 48 Laws of Powers-ish, where they're just giving you like tools and different strategies to like manipulate and take and do things. And this specific thing that was being said to her was, ask the person to speak up, to break them off their rhythm, their social rhythm, basically, and control the conversation. And so Jody's asking her questions. She's going back and forth about, you know, different things that between her affair with Clark. And Carol's like, can you speak up? They talk some more. They, go through it. The tensions rise a little bit more. Carol goes, I can't hear you. Can you speak up? And Jody's like, not understanding what she's trying to do, I'm sure. Or maybe she is. But she keeps raising her voice every time. So whether she knows or not, she's doing what she wants. And so she asked to go to the hutch. Before that, a really important part. She asks Carol, who showed up to Jamba Juice first? And Carol's like, I remember I came in, and she's so smart. If she would have just answered me, just the straight up lie, that would have been an immediate clear way to see that she's not telling the truth. The way that she answered, she goes, I remember coming into Jamba Juice and then seeing Clark. And then Jody goes, so Clark went first. And that's where she went wrong. Jody shouldn't have said or asked it like that. She should make Carol say that he came first. She's just answering a question saying yes. That can be fought. And so she said yes, that he came first. And that's the part she remembers. It sticks in Jody's mind. We basically leave over to the hutch because they said they don't have a mail room or a mailbox. Not a mailbox. They don't have like anything for their mail other than a hutch. So she takes her to the hutch. She sees this book of naked men that was Floyd's. Jody takes that. She's like, we're going to take this and assess it. She leaves, and then we go to Carol and Clark holding hands while watching Floyd perform. He does his dances. They have live performers that are singing, they're dancing, and then I guess he's supposed to be interpreting, but he's like mixing that in with dance, and he's having a good time. And here we go with Carol again. This whole episode just frustrated the heck out of me with her, but she's holding hands like below to where, you know, they're in a crowd, you can't see. She's holding Clark's hand while she's watching the performance. And I feel like, I'm going to preface this, I feel like her plan for this night was to start making Clark jealous. And so she starts, quote unquote, falling back in love with Floyd. She's watching the performance. She's like, look at him up there. She has some tears coming down and she's like, he's just so silly and I just want to make it work and I just love him and blah, blah, blah. And then she lets go. We see an insert of her letting go of Clark's hand. Clark is like watching this and he even throws a jab. He's like, yeah, the fact that he can move like that when he's that big. And she goes, you know, we're working on it. And she's defending him now. And Clark is just getting upset. And it was after that night that Clark brought up DTF St. Louis, the app, the hookup app for couples, to Floyd, which ended up leading obviously to his demise later on. But Detective Donoghue says that's when Clark got close to Floyd. So he has the text messages where Carol was saying that she still loved her husband and this and that. And Detective Donoghue marks that as the moment that Clark started becoming way, way closer to um to Floyd. You know, they would do everything together. They were doing yoga stretches and shit. You know, Detective Donoghue said he wanted to gain his trust to get rid of him. This whole time, Clark's contemplating. We don't know what he's thinking about yet. There's no way to know yet. And then he starts going through Floyd's DTF St. Louis messages. He finds Tiger, this guy that he was talking to. This guy that looked like was dressed as a woman. And from a distance looks like maybe I'm not even gonna get into that realm, but so you know, he finds those text messages. Tiger. No. I think I might be confusing it. Yes, I am. Tiger was a dude, and he was messaging Floyd back and forth. But what the police have done already is they've traced that back to Clark's IP. So Tiger was Clark's made up profile on DTF. He's trapping the man. And once he finds this out, once Detective Donoghue finds this out, he goes back into the holding room with Clark and he's like, hey, you know, you want to take a break, Tiger? Want to take a 5, Tiger? He's like, no. Why do you keep calling me Tiger? He was like, that's your name, isn't it? Tiger on DTF St. Louis. I tell you, Richard Jenkins, bro. Anyway, Detective Donoghue interviews the man Floyd went on a date with. This man was dressed with long hair, like a robe on, took a picture at a distance. I think the picture is of David Bowie, but is at a distance, so you can't really make out. Anyway, Detective Donoghue interviews him. The man says there was some intimacy play. Detective Donoghue's like, what's that? She was like I put my tongue in his mouth. No, like a kiss. And then he's like, what kind of kiss? He's like the kiss where I put my tongue in his mouth and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, kissing and ass play, some ass play. And then Detective Donoghue goes, okay, who played with whose ass? Oh my goodness. And then he goes, I was, playing with his and led to some grinding. I was like, what the fuck? And then we see Clark seeing a news report. He's he's in hair and makeup, and he sees a news report about DTF St. Louis. We're seeing how he even found out about it. And they're talking about how it's for married people that just want to spice things up or just want to do a thing for the night type of thing. And yeah, that's where he sees it and what gave him the idea. Then we go over to Detective Donoghue. Donoghue is receiving a sheet of paper that shows the UTOX results, the urinary toxicology report, maybe. You guys know what I mean, though. And it shows up with amphazine in his blood system, in Floyd's blood system the night he died. They also saw that just a week prior, Clark was prescribed amphazine. Smoking gun, people at this point. Oh, also, the detective that Donoghue is telling this to, he goes, okay, that's premeditation. You know, premeditation in Missouri means they both say it at the same time, I think, something like that. It was emphatic, is my point. They said the death penalty. And so, Detective Jody then confirms the nude photos are of Floyd. She brings all those nude photos that were in Floyd's box. She brings those. She knocks on the door. Carol opens the door. She has like naked men photos right there. She's like, "Is this Floyd?" She goes, "Yes, from when he was younger." Boom, boom. We have two different. We're never set on like one thing that we think. You know, they're always giving you something else, another angle to kind of explore, which is good. I like it. I like it a lot. Detective Donaghue and Jody talk. Detective Donaghue has this air about him, like he just cracked it all, which he should. He should. That's pretty telling evidence. They call it the Palomar, which is the world's strongest knot, and he basically says that it's tight. The case is closed. He tells why. He tells Jody, you know, I found out about them in the UTOX, amphazine. Clark was prescribed amphazine a week earlier. Boom, that's it. Jody goes, well, Carol lied about seeing. Oh, I left out a part. So Detective Jody goes to Jamba Juice and asks the Jamba Juice ladies if they've seen Carol before. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's Watermelon Breeze. She goes, what? We call everybody their drink orders, and she's Watermelon Breeze. And she's like, so she always gets Watermelon Breeze. She's like, yeah. She brings over another employee. Hey, Krista Coppett, blah, blah, blah. You know, whatever her name is. She comes over. She's like, you know who that is, right? Oh, yeah, that's Watermelon Breeze. She's like, so it would be weird if she ordered a go-getter? They're like, yeah, she's Watermelon Breeze. She's like, oh, okay, all right. So she lied about the drink to Clark. She also, and you know, the photos are of Floyd, so that just raises more questions. And Clark calls his wife. Then we see Clark call his wife from the St. Louis jail, and she's watching the news report, seeing the details about the affair. She looks at the phone, sees it's a St. Louis jail calling. She doesn't answer. And then we see Clark leaving a voicemail saying, you know, they're talking about the death penalty. And he's like, you know, that thing with, he minimizes it. You know, I had that thing with Jody, I know. Sorry, but I didn't hurt Clark, or I didn't hurt Floyd. And kind of ends like that. It ends like that. So there's a lot going on, obviously. There's so many different ways to kind of think about where or what might have happened. It's not out of the realm of possibility that they both planned it together. Although the amphazine seems more like a planted framing more than it was like anything else, like premeditated by Clark. Um, who would be that dumb? You get it prescribed to you, and that seems to be that is what killed Floyd. Um, you'd have to know that would trace back to you. So I'm kind of ruling out Clark as the person that did it, unless he's just, huh? Unless no, I don't know. It could have been, but I'm pretty much ruling him out. I'm not ruling out the mom yet. There's another person that I'm thinking about. I'm not gonna bring it up yet. Um, I want us to all enjoy it. um, and I'm gonna enjoy it too. I just sometimes I'll figure stuff out before like an ex-girlfriend or something like that, and I'll tell them what it's gonna. There's a multiple factors of how doing it just by filmmaking, but I'll figure it out a lot of the time, and then I'll tell her, and then she'll feel like I spoiled it for her, which is true. And so I just stopped doing that, and I'm not gonna do that for y'all. But there is someone else that I'm thinking about as well. If it's not the wife, yeah. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. I cannot wait until we just find out. I don't feel like they should drag it. I hope they don't. There are so many different things that can be explored after we have the culprit. I hope they don't drag it out till the season finale for us to find out who killed Floyd. Please just don't do that. Let's go on another avenue, a good 5-6 episodes maybe of who done it. And then, I mean, that might even be a lot. That's more than 2 hours of a film. You know what I mean? I feel like the standard length of a film is a good amount of time to get the wonder out of the way. Let's find out who it is. Let's go. What happens now? Let's dive into that. And then, also the details of how that happened, why that happened. And because, yeah, I think this is a one seasoner. I don't see what else we can do. And, a limited series. These are some big hitters. Probably can't keep them too much longer than that. But I hope you guys are enjoying it too. I hope you guys are enjoying me kind of talking through it, kind of explaining it through my lens of being in filmmaking and acting as well. Also writing. And so, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I'm excited for the next episode. Bye.